Hello friends, how do we take a simple chord progression like this that's mostly 7th chords and breathe some new life into it? One of the easiest ways to do that is just to add ninths to those 7ths. One note, and it sounds like this. The best part is, it only takes 4 chord shapes to do. To build our 9th chords, we first need to understand our 4 foundational 7th chords on the instrument. I'll link to my full video on that concept here, but really all you need to know is we need a 7th chord built off of each of our open strings, which you already know. G7th, C7th, E7th, and A7th. If you know these 4 shapes, all we have to do is add 1 note to each of these, and we'll have our dominant 9th chord. The thing about our 9th chords and our 11th chords and our 13th chords is that they're all additive. We're taking our 7th chord and we're adding a note to it. They are not separate chords, they are built on top of our 7th chords. So let's take our G7th chord shape, open, 2, 1, 2. What notes do we have here? We have G, the root, B, the 3rd, D, the 5th, and F, the 7th. And we're just going to add a 9th to this. But you'll notice that we now have 5 notes in the chord. What's our 9th? Well, it's an A. G, A is our 9th. It's our 2nd note in relation to G. So we need to take something away, and that's going to be the G. In each of these chords, we're going to take the root of the chord, the name of it, and we're just going to raise it 2 half steps or 2 frets. So we're going to go on the 2nd fret of our G string, 2, 2, 1, 2. There's G 9th. Based off of our G7th chord shape. And note, this is 4 fingers across 4 strings, which means we can move this up and down the fingerboard. This is one of our 4 9th chord shapes that we need. So where's our next one? Well, here's C, C7th. What we have to do is identify the C, it's our open C string, and move it up 2 frets. That gives us a D, that's our 9th. So here's our shape, but this isn't movable yet, right? Because we have open strings, so we need to account for this. So for our C7th and C9th shape, let's play a D9. So we're going to slide this shape on up and bar across the 2nd fret. So we'll have 2, 4, 2, 3. There's our movable shape in the C position. What about E7th? Find your root, open E, and get rid of it. Raise the root up 2 frets. So we have 1, 2, 2, 2. Already a movable shape for us. We have 3 shapes already. We have our G9th shape, we have our C9th shape, playing as a D9th at the moment, so we can use our bar. And then we have our E9th shape. I like to do this with a double bar like this. You can do it with individual fingers as well. So what's our final one? A7th to A9th. So here's A7th. What do we need to add? Well, here's our A. Add 2 frets above that. That's a B. That's our 9th. And again, we have an issue of this is not a movable voicing because we have open strings. So how do we do that? Well, let's just slide it on up. Let's make a C7th out of this. So we're going to take that A7th voicing, slide it up to our 3rd fret like this, and add that note up top. So we have 3, 4, 3, 5. So there's our final movable position based off of our A7th chord shape for a 9th. So we have these 3 positions that we can use that give us all of the 9th chords across the fingerboard. Now, some of you might be saying, Chris, these aren't actually 9th chords. These are minor 7 flat 5 chords, and you are absolutely correct. And this is the joy of ukuleles. Since we only have 4 notes to work with, many of these chords can go by different names. This could be a minor 7 flat 5 or a half diminished chord, or it could also be a minor 6th chord, depending on the context that we use it in. But the important thing is this: our dominant 9, our minor 7 flat 5, and our minor 6 chord are all movement chords. They're all unstable. They all want to take us somewhere. So although the roots may be different in the way that we think about them, and context may be different, they're all doing the same thing. They're taking us to another chord. And that's the thing to remember with these 9th chord shapes, is that they're taking us somewhere. So now let's take these 4 shapes that we have, and let's move them across the fingerboard and play a little bit of the chord progression of Please Don't Talk About Me When I'm Gone. Please Don't Talk About Me When I'm Gone has 5 chords in it. We have C, E7th, A7th, D7th, G7th, back to C. So let's play that really fast just to get it in our ear with these chords. I'll call them out as we go. 2, 3, 4 on C, E7th, A7th, we stay there, D7th, G7th, and back to C. Now we're going to take all of those chords except the first one. If it's just a major chord, we can't use these 9th substitutions. These are for dominant chords, for our 7th chords, our movement chords. So we're gonna take this C and we're gonna move it on up because this will put us in a position where we'll get to use all 4 of our 9th chord shapes in this one progression so you can practice them across the fingerboard. So we're gonna start on a C6th chord, which is 5, 7, 5, 7. That's gonna replace our C. And then our next chord is E7, and our closest E7th voicing would be this. So what is this? This is our C7th voicing. So we're gonna make it a 9th by putting a finger on the 6th fret of our C string. So we have 4, 6, 4, 5, and this gives us our E9th chord shape. So here's C6, E9th, then we're gonna go down to an A7th next, but add our 9th. So we're gonna use our G7th chord shape. How do we add the 9th to this? It's on the G string, right? So we need to move our G string up. So we have 4, 4, 3, 4. So listen to those first 3 chords. And then A9. Stay there. And we go to D9th next, and we're going to use our A7th chord shape for this one. So where's that? Well, here's our A7th chord shape. 5, 6, 5, 5. And this is a D7th now. It's this position. Moved on up. Where's our 9th? Well, we add it on the A string because it's our A shape. So here we go. So there's our D9th chord, and then we're going to come down finally to our G9th chord, and the only shape we have left is our E chord shape, calls this one. So we got to find that on our E string. It's going to be like this: 4, 5, 5, 5. And then back to C6. So let's try this nice and slowly and see how it all sounds. So we start on C6, 2, 3, 4, down to E9, it's our C shape, down to A9 with our G shape, D9 with our A shape, 5th fret, then G9, and down to the 4th fret, and resolve back to C6. It's a simple little progression that probably is getting your fingers in a twist the very moment because you haven't done it too many times. But this progression right here is a great exercise to get your fingers accustomed to all of these movable 9th chord shapes. But I lied to you in the beginning. There's actually a 5th chord shape we should look at. Our method so far for finding our 9th chords has been to raise the root of the chord, but in one position there's a different note that we can do this with, and that's that we can take the 5th away from the chord, and that would be this chord voicing here, an A7 that low G players are probably familiar with, 2, 1, 3, open, which doesn't have an E in it. There's no 5th in this chord. Us high G players don't play this position very often. But we can add the 9th because here's our A up here. We can add that on the 2nd fret just like before, but we can maintain this A down here. So we have A, C sharp, G, and then B up top. So this becomes, based on our A7th chord, a different movable 9th chord position that we can use. And this is a very fun one that has the 7th and the 3rd in the middle of the chord. That nice clash. And specifically, and please don't talk about me when I'm gone, when this chord gets used for 2 measures, there's generally a sharp 5 added. So if you want to have some real fun, you take this position, 2, 1, 3, 2, and then bring it up here to 4, 5, 3, 4. And this gives us an A9 with a sharp 5 in it. Just swapping those 2 inner strings between the 2 voicings. The outer strings are staying the same, and we're going up like this. So this gives us A9 without the 5th, and then A9 sharp 5 in the context of our progression. It's a lot of fun to think about chords and the different ways that we can play them. So take a song that has 7th chords in it this week and see if you can find a way to use these movable voicings that we've talked about in this lesson. I'll see y'all next week.